2023, Anri will mark her 45th year in the music business, and her fans will celebrate an enduring pop beat. More than 4 decades and 50 albums on, she continues to perform for concertgoers.
What I always keep in mind when writing songs is that I want to make people happy, and on top of that, I want to make good melodies and good music for people to listen to.
How can a musical artist that debuted more than 45 years ago still be active up to this day while also being popular among both older and younger generations? Well, an artist can achieve that when they make music that is timeless. City pop is the name of the musical genre that originated from Japan in the 70s, but it wouldn't be until the 80s where the genre will become extremely popular among Japanese people. This genre is a remnant of the bubble era, a time where Japan was at the top of the world, a society that could afford to buy capital, technology, and knowledge while also having almost unlimited wealth. It was a time of prosperity for Japan, and those feelings are reflected in many songs from the city pop genre. City pop takes elements from American pop and jazz. However, city pop is not just Japan's attempt to create American pop. City pop has its own identity. Most songs in the genre express this sense of optimism while also feeling nostalgic. During the 80s, it seemed like city pop would be the next big breakthrough in Japanese music, but in the dawn of the new decade, the genre failed to live up to expectations. The burst of the economic bubble was a turning point for Japanese culture. The once optimistic society is now jaded by uncertainty of what will come next. The era where Japan was the king of the world was gone, and the future of the country seemed bleak. And the impact of the bubble would still be felt for many years to come, as the economy entered a stagnant state, a state where the economy still remains at up to this date. And for Japanese music, the burst of the bubble shifted the public perception of city pop. The optimism that was expressed in city pop no longer resonated with the Japanese society of the 90s. Instead, idols and bands will become the image of the era. In a time where the future seemed dark, idols and bands were that gleam of hope that the Japanese people needed, and these new musical revolutions ended up growing throughout the years until ultimately becoming international musical sensations. Meanwhile, city pop was left behind. The genre became a laughingstock for Japanese society. The genre was rooted by the optimism of an era that was long gone, an era of richness that will never come back, and as time passed by, the legacy of city pop was overshadowed by the achievement of their contemporaries, until the genre was ultimately forgotten. At least until the 2010s. Vaporwave is the name of the music genre/aesthetic that originated from the internet in the 2010s. It is characterized by a mix of electronic music and jazz, with imagery that portrays abstract objects within a glitchy atmosphere that is often accompanied by pastel colors reminiscent of the 80s and 90s. In a way, Vaporwave was like a time capsule that brought to life many popular things from the 80s and 90s, from classic movies, shows, games, and even music. One of the most unique characteristics of Vaporwave music was the sampling of Japanese songs, more specifically, city pop songs. Now, thanks to the internet and the Vaporwave movement, city pop has found a new audience: the West. With increased popularity of anime and Japanese games in the West, we have seen a growing fascination for Japanese culture. And with the internet facilitating access to almost any media with just a few clicks, platforms like YouTube and TikTok have served as news channels for all Japanese trends to gather attention among Western users. City pop gathered a huge following in the West, with songs like Plastic Love by Takeuchi Mariya gaining over 20 million views on YouTube alone. It wouldn't be long until word of mouth among Western users would popularize other city pop artists like Tomoko Aran, Onukita Eko, and probably the most well-known of them all, Miki Matsubara. In 2020, Miki Matsubara's song Mayonaka no Door/Stay With Me was trending in social media, even reaching number 1 on Spotify's viral charts. The once abandoned and forgotten genre now has made its return. but its increasing popularity might make you wonder what about this genre is so special. City pop is a genre that abandoned many traditions from older Japanese music, instead opting for a style that is more reminiscent of that in American pop. Yet, city pop holds its own identity, as many artists use the American style as a base to create more expressive songs. City pop is characterized by its joyful nature that came from a time of prosperity. However, the genre is not exclusively upbeat and optimistic. There is a subtle sense of melancholy that can be felt in many songs. The themes of city pop are enrooted to the bubble era, when it was so easy to buy pretty much anything, then materialistic objects didn't hold much of a value. In a way, so much consumerism felt pointless, and society was looking for any meanings behind their existence. That was what most city pop artists tried to answer in their work. The result was a celebration of the modern era, embracing this new prosperous lifestyle, but at the same time reminiscing about those things that give us a purpose to live, like our relationships with other people and nature. And there was one artist that understood this the best.
You have such an amazing voice, it's iconic.
Everyone had a smile on their faces.
She is my singing princess.
My daughters grew up listening to her songs since they were small, so when I play her music, all my family sing together.
In 1978, a young artist made her debut in the music industry at the age of 17. Her name is Eiko Kawashima, or better known as Anri. She found her fascination for music thanks to the growing popularity of Western artists like Joni Mitchell, Karen Carpenter, and Olivia Newton-John, the latter being the inspiration for Anri's first song, Olivia o Kikinagara. Her first album, Apricot Jam, was released in 1978, gathering notable recognition. According to the Oricon charts, which were based on physical single sales, Apricot Jam peaked at 51st in the rankings. Moving forward to the 80s, Anri's releases just kept propelling her career further, as city pop became more and more popular among Japanese society. And in the midst of this growing fascination for the genre, in 1983, Anri released her most influential album, Timely. To talk about Timely is to talk about not only Anri's most popular album, but one of the most popular city pop albums of all time. Commercially, the album was a huge success, peaking at first place in the Oricon charts and reaching over 500,000 copies sold by the end of 1984. Critically, the album has been praised for containing catchy songs accompanied by strong vocals and beautiful arrangements. Up to this day, this album is still celebrated by city pop enthusiasts. But to understand why this album is still praised with such devotion, it is important to understand what makes Anri's music so captivating. Similar to other artists in the genre, Anri takes a lot of inspiration from American pop, jazz, and funk. Her music is characterized by long instrumental arrangements. The direction of the instruments accompanied by Anri's vocals create this flow to each of her songs and make them so expressive and enjoyable. If I could describe Anri's song with one word, that would be juvenile. Her songs tend to be upbeat, filled with a lot of energy, optimism, and positive vibes, which is reminiscent of the positivity of youths during the bubble era. And what makes Timely such a great album is the fact that it takes all of these principles and excels at them. One of, if not the most popular song from this album is I Can't Stop the Loneliness. This song's lyrics are about romantic breakup caused by an affair. It's quite a distressing theme, but there's a contrast between the lyrics and the tone of the song. The melody is upbeat and Anri's vocal performance is lively. What seems like a sad song in theory, it's actually a passionate song. This contrast of tones makes the song stand out, and while the reason for it might be open for interpretation, what makes this song so memorable is the melody. The instrumental arrangement of this song is fascinating, as each instrument complements the melody to create this energetic and passionate tone. For the lower notes, the piano takes a more prominent role in the song, while the trumpets emphasize higher notes. And the melody also does a great job at having some sort of narrative structure to it. As the song progresses, the instruments have more freedom and the melody becomes more and more expressive until the climax of the song when it comes to this sudden stop and then progressively comes back for the finale. And Anri's vocals in this part are so good, it complements the song extremely well. I Can't Stop the Loneliness is not a song that reinvents the wheel, as it takes a lot of elements that have been seen in other city pop songs. But this song perfected those elements to create a masterpiece that stands out among other songs in the genre, and this is just one song in Timely. There are so many good songs in this album like Win the Summer, Shine as Boy, Driving My Love, and Remember Summer Days. The quality level in this album is consistent, as every song within the album has beautiful melodies and vocals. And did you know that this album is also an important part of anime history? The first song in the album, Cat's Eye, is actually the opening for the 1983 anime Cat's Eye, based on the manga series written by Tsukasa Hoyo. And this opening song is iconic for the series. It has even become the main theme of the show, as the song has been reused for the Cat's Eye live-action adaptation from 1997, and a new rendition of the song performed by Anri was made for the crossover ONA Lupin III vs. Cat's Eye. And this song made history, as it was performed in Kohaku Uta Gassen, which is a New Year special broadcast by the NHK network that brings together musical artists from Japan and other countries, putting them into two teams to compete, where competitors perform one of their works, with the result of the competition being settled by votes from the judges and the audience. This competition is highly regarded in Japan. To even perform in this show, an artist must be invited, which is a luxury only given to the most successful artists in the entertainment industry. So for many artists, performing in this show is a highlight of their career, remarking how huge Anri's career was at the time. But in the case of Anri's performance of Cat's Eye in the show, this was also the first time in history that a song from an anime was performed in Kohaku. Timely is without any doubts Anri's most popular and influential album, not only among her discography but also among the city pop genre. Often considered to be one of those essential albums that any fan of the genre must listen to. And what I have talked about it is just the tip of the iceberg. There is so much more that can be said about this album. And moving forward in Anri's career, her following albums became financial and critical successes. Some standouts are Cool, with songs like Surprise of Summer, which has a melody reminiscent of Latin disco. The Wave is a more experimental album with slower songs like Long Island Beach, while also keeping the energetic vibes with songs like Take It. And Circuit of Rainbow. This album has some of the best songs in Anri's discography, like Asian Girl, Miss You Miss Me, and Lovers on Venus, one of the most beautiful and emotional songs that Anri has made. And what is so incredible about Anri is that she's still active up to this day. Her latest release is from 2024 and her next tour is on July 2025. And throughout her career, Anri has developed a loyal following within Japan, with many people that grew up listening to her songs sharing their passion with their children.
My child says Anri's songs are good songs and sings along with me.
Anri is not just the voice of the bubble generation. Now a new generation has the pleasure to enjoy Anri's music. But not only has Anri's music reached a new generation of the Japanese society, it has also reached a brand new demographic. With the rebirth of the city pop genre in the 2010s thanks to the influence of vaporwave, a lot of city pop artists gained a huge following outside of Japan, Anri being one of those artists. Anri's songs and the city pop genre as a whole is now widely discussed among the English-speaking community. We even have cases like DJ Bob Pagam, who has hosted city pop themed raves in Chicago and Miami, and he has publicly praised Anri's talents and longevity in the industry. While Anri is not the only attributing factor for this newly found fascination for the city pop genre, it is still worth noting that Anri has become one of the poster childs for this new era of city pop. Some even call her the princess of city pop. And with how huge the city pop genre has become outside of Japan, it makes you wonder, why is it becoming so popular in the first place? City pop as a genre is one that resonated mainly with youths of the bubble era, an era that was not experienced by the youth of the current date, especially those outside of Japan. And for non-Japanese speakers, it's not like they can resonate with the lyrics of the songs, as even though there are a lot of English words, the lyrics are mainly in Japanese. Perhaps the renaissance of city pop has to do with the growth of anime and Japanese video games increasing the interest for Japanese culture in the West. Yet, this would be just oversimplifying the matter. The real answer is more complex. There is an academic paper by Paul Balam Cross which discussed the idea of reconstructed nostalgia, where trends like vaporwave and the revival of city pop cause this psychological effect on listeners where they unconsciously reinterpret parts of their memory to create these scenarios that only exist within the listener's imagination, pretending as if they were real memories that actually happened. The paper discussed how a lot of imagery in city pop showcases nature in a surreal and fantastical way, creating a strange sense of familiarity and comfort despite the fact that that imagery is not real. This feeling of nostalgia is categorized as a form of escapism, and it's exactly that false nostalgia that makes city pop so appealing as a genre for people outside of Japan. DJ Baum Pogam adds to this argument by stating the following about Western fascination for city pop. We have saturated and commercialized our 70s and 80s so much that younger generations can even form a cohesive impression of what those times were actually like. City pop has just enough Western influence to sound like untouched, untamed versions of what we once had, but without the hyper-commercialized. I think the music's purity is what draws people in. The fact that they can reminisce about a time and place that aren't their own and still feel nostalgia is something new for a lot of people. The identity of Western songs from the 70s and 80s has been taken away for the sake of attaching these songs to a product. The fact that city pop lacks that commercialization in the West makes the genre feel fresh for so many people. Now, it's important to clarify that with this, I don't say that it is wrong to use licensed songs to promote a product. Even city pop has used some of their songs for promotional purposes, like we have seen with Anri and Cat's Eye. The argument here is more about the psychological effect that this lack of commercialization creates for the listener. For Western listeners, city pop is this escapism from the experiences that they have been exposed to many and many times. When the listener can focus on the songs for what they are, they can resonate with them. And the reason why city pop has become so popular outside of Japan is because the themes of the genre are universal and timeless. City pop is a genre that at one point was considered cheesy, as it was too optimistic for the Japanese society of the 90s. Yet, it's a genre that despite all, now it's bigger than it has ever been. It's exactly that bright perspective of the future that keeps so many people interested in the genre. Perhaps many listeners outside of Japan do not completely understand what the songs are trying to portray, but they can feel the intentions of the authors. Anri as an artist is one that has always understood the appeal of city pop. She's an artist that has stood the test of time because her songs are so iconic. Her passionate vocals, accompanied by catchy and emotional melodies, leave such a strong impression. In a way, Anri's music feels fantastical. It's like nothing that you have ever listened to, yet it feels so familiar at the same time. Anri might have not revolutionized city pop, but she can be attributed with the title of the most influential city pop artist. Thanks for making it this far into the video. If you enjoy it, please leave a like and comment down below your opinion on city pop, Anri, or anything that piques your interest from the video. If you'd like to see more content like this, consider subscribing. That helps the growth of the channel and also motivates me to keep making more videos. Once again, thanks for watching the video and until next time.